Good afternoon, Judge. I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Judge.
All right, I'm unmuted. Let's see, test. Still nothing?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay, all right.
Sorry, I heard you say I'm unmuted. I thought you knew that you had muted yourself.
All right, well, I clicked unmute and mute, tried some different things, but maybe it's slow responding. So it looks like one of the other parties were in.
Yeah, I saw it said iPad and then now they're gone.
Yeah, now they're gone. I admitted them in, so we'll have to see here.
I spoke with my client yesterday and it didn't seem to be any problems. He was going to be available and so forth. So.
Okay.
He's in the military and he's in the field, but he said he had a hot spot to use and so forth. So.
All right, and I've not heard back from Miss Rader. We did send her the invite as well through the email that she provided. Have you had any communication with her at all, Mr. Rush?
No, Your Honor, I was looking through my file and it looks like I sent her an email, I think pre-filing, and I was just actually looking at that to see what email address I used. Pagerator@yahoo.com was the,
Yeah.
that's the, but I'm not certain if she ever even responded, but I did send her an email on May 11th about some issues, but I have not spoken with her, certainly.
So, oh, there she is right there in the guest room.
And my client has my cell phone too, so I'm assuming if he were having problems, he would call my cell phone.
Okay, we can wait a few minutes.
I've got it next to me.
Ms. Rader, are you there? Can you hear me, Ms. Rader?
Yes.
Okay, all right. We're currently waiting on Mr. Dyer to jump in. Sorry.
I'm going to shoot him a text, Your Honor.
Okay.
Okay.
Breann, were you trying to jump on an iPad earlier? Maybe it said iPad was trying to get in.
I think she's frozen up.
I'm currently on an iPad, but my Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so you're breaking in and out, so it's going to be difficult because we can't even see you raise your hand if you have a question. So is that the only internet ability you have?
For right now, yes.
Okay. Understand that you can type some things over here on the right-hand side if you wish. I'm not sure on your iPad if it shows up. You can chat. That way, if you need to send everyone,
Yeah.
to everyone, you can send a message there so that
Okay.
we know you want to say something. I can now see you moving, so I think your reception's better.
Okay. I found it on. Okay.
Ms. Rader, we're just waiting a few minutes for Mr. Dyer to try to get on.
Okay.
You know, I'm going to mute myself and call him because his text messages aren't making any sense to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, no problem.
Your Honor, as I told you, he's in the field, and so I think he was confused by the time. Like he knew it was at 3, but I think he thought it was maybe 2 or 4. I'm not sure. He was off by an hour, so he's logging on right now.
Okay, no problem.
I think he's on. I think he's in California. Is that right, Breann?
Are you still with us, Breann?
Yes. Yes.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. No problem.
Okay. Looks like he's trying to come in.
Sorry for the delay, Your Honor.
Oh, it's okay.
That would be him.
All right, are you there, Mr. Dyer? Oh, looks like it's still there. You are. Finally got connected.
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. We're all here. This is the White Circuit Court. This is cause number 91C01, 2005 JP15. This is in reference to paternity of Amelia Renee Lynn Rader by the petitioner Christian Thomas Dyer. You're Mr. Dyer, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, the court will show that Mr. Dyer is present along with his attorney, Mr. Rush. And the respondent is Breann Page Rader, and you're Miss Rader.
Yes.
We'll show that Miss Rader's here. We're doing this by Zoom. Are there any objections to this hearing being held remotely?
Not by the petitioner, Your Honor.
Okay, no objections there. Just some quick rules. This is being recorded, and according to administrative rules, it's being sent out live on YouTube. If you have any questions, I know sometimes it's hard, but if you have a question, go ahead and raise your hand. I'll keep track and make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to speak. It is difficult. We've already noticed Miss Rader has a little bit of slow Wi-Fi there. I'll give everybody an opportunity to speak. If you feel it's necessary, Mr. Rush, and you need a breakout session with your client at some point in time, let me know. Or if you want to mute like you did and just give him a phone call, that's perfectly fine as well.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Rush, you're the petitioner here. I'll allow you to proceed based on your petition. I think the easiest thing here is I'm going to go ahead and put both of them under oath. That way, any questions you have, we can roll right through it. Mr. Dyer and Miss Rader, please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the evidence or testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God. Miss Rader?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Dyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, you may proceed, Mr. Rush.
Christian, I'm going to ask you some questions. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so you asked me to file a petition for you, and I'm holding a copy of it in my hands. It was filed on June 18th with the court. It contains your electronic signature, and that's what kind of got things started here. So I want to ask you, first of all, you had an opportunity to review that before I filed it, correct?
Yes, sir.
And each and every allegation within that petition is true and accurate, and still true and accurate to this day. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And so you are the petitioner here, and you believe that you are the father of Amelia, and you're asking this court to establish paternity, correct?
Yes.
And this child was born outside of wedlock, and it's my understanding that there was not a paternity executed at the birth of the child, right?
No.
Okay. And so you didn't make a whole lot of requests. You're in the United States military, is that correct?
Yes.
What branch are you in, sir?
Marines.
Okay. And you are stationed, I think, in California, is that right?
I am.
And so you've asked for, in addition to establishing paternity, you would like joint legal custody, right?
Yes.
And you are not asking for physical custody. You want the child's mother, Breann, to retain primary physical custody, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I gave you a copy of, or provided you with the ability to get a copy of the Indiana Parenting Time Guidelines. And you're asking the judge to adopt those in their entirety and with specificity where distance is a factor because of your current living arrangements and the uncertainty of where you may live in the future. You think that's an appropriate measure to request in this matter as well. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And it's my understanding that when you've been in town on leave or what have you, or I guess maybe even prior to the military, that she has worked with you and allowed you to have parenting time. Is that right?
Yes, as long as I'm with my father.
Okay. But you don't think that you should have any restrictions other than just normal things like, commonsensical things, like certainly you're going to tell her what you're doing and where you're going. You're not trying to take the child and leave to go to California or anything, right?
No, sir.
Okay. And what is your current date of separation in the Marine Corps?
It is, I believe, 23. I have 3 more years left.
Okay. So barring some unforeseen circumstance, you're committed to Uncle Sam for the next few years.
Yes.
And do you have any guarantee on how long you're going to be stationed where you're stationed currently?
It should still be for the next 3 years.
Okay. So again, I was in the military. Maybe the judge was, I'm not sure. I understand you go where they tell you, but for now you're in California. You have no anticipation of going anywhere different than that.
No.
Do you have you're from this area though, right?
Yes.
Do you have any leave plans to return to White County or thereabouts anytime in the next few months?
I'm gonna try to go back maybe during Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Okay, and if you're back here, you certainly want time with your child, right?
Yes.
Okay. And we haven't had an opportunity to exchange income figures, but part of what you requested, and it may seem a little outside the ordinary for a person to say, hey, I want to pay some child support, but you're asking the court to establish child support so you can pay whatever is appropriate. Is that right?
Yes.
And by virtue of you being in the military, once paternity established, you can add this child to your military insurance benefits too. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so you're asking that we accommodate that unless there's some better program already in place. Is that right?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Is there any other requests that you're making that I haven't already asked you about?
No.
I think in the petition you asked that you wanted the child's surname, last name to be changed to reflect your name. Is that right?
No.
So you're not asking that. Okay, make sure.
It's fine that she keeps Raider.
Okay, so that's the only request you're making. Let me ask you some questions about your income. You get a monthly LES, is that right?
Every 2 weeks I get paid.
Okay, but well, when I was in, we got something called a leaving earnings statement, an LES. Do you still get those?
We do, but I'm not set up with it.
Okay, so what is your either annual income or biweekly income? Tell me your pay before taxes.
I get roughly around $1,000 to $1,500 a month.
Okay, that's after taxes, right?
Yes.
Okay, do you know what your gross wage is, which would be your amount of money before taxes?
I do not.
What is your rank?
I'm a private.
Is that an E2?
It's an E1. And
E1,
then
okay.
also 10% of my checks go into a TSP plan.
Okay. You're not getting any combat pay or anything, are you?
No.
And your time in service is less than 1 year?
Yes.
Okay. And are you living in base housing?
I'm living in the barracks.
Okay, so you're not getting a BAQ or BAS or any kind of extra pay?
No.
So if I were to get on the internet and look up how much a Marine E1 makes, it's going to give me a number, I presume, since you're not certain.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you don't know where she works or how much she makes, do you?
I do not.
Okay. No further questions for him, Your Honor.
Okay. You have any questions for Ms. Rader?
I guess I'm happy to, but I didn't know if she might have any questions for him, Your Honor, if you wanted to allow her that opportunity first.
Ms. Rader, you have any questions for Mr. Dyer?
I do have one question.
I'm listening.
And that is for when you come down for Thanksgiving or Christmas, whenever you decide comfortable around you for the first few times she's around you, because she's only seen you once, so I'd like her to get to know you more than, because she don't really know who you are right now.
Yes.
That is just something I would prefer, is if your parents were around to help her, because she knows them very well.
I agree.
That is the only request I have for you.
Okay.
Just one more
Mr.
question for him, Your Honor.
I got a couple questions for Mr. Dyer.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Dyer, your child was born out of wedlock. You guys were not married, correct?
No, sir.
And you're stating that you believe you're the father because you had a sexual intimate relationship with Miss Rader. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Around about the time that the child would have been conceived?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Rush with Miss Rader.
Your Honor, if I could ask one follow-up to Christian, just want to clean up the income figure. I had a chance to look that up. So,
Okay.
Christian, what the internet tells me is that an E1 private in the Marine Corps for their first 4 months in service makes $1,514 a month, and after 4 months they get $1,638 per month. Does that sound accurate to what you're getting paid?
That sounds about right.
And have you been there more than 4 months?
I have.
Okay, so would you agree that your gross monthly wage will be $16.38 per month?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Rader, I take it from your question that you agree that Christian is the father of this child.
Yes.
Neither of you have asked for genetic testing of any kind. I've certainly explained to Mr. Dyer that if he wants it, he can request it. And you understand that if you wanted it, you could request it. Are you waiving that at this point?
Yes.
Okay. So you agree and admit that Christian should be determined to be the biological father of this child?
Yes.
Okay. And you've heard his request that you be the primary physical custodian. I assume you don't object to that.
No, I do not.
And have you had an opportunity to look at or download or otherwise read or obtain the Indiana Parenting Time Guidelines?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I don't believe so.
We can certainly assist to make sure that I tell you the easiest way is if you literally Google it, you're going to find it probably one of the top couple of results. Indiana Supreme Court website has a link where you can download a PDF copy. The courthouse probably has printed books you can pick up if you're out and about, would be my guess. But so it would be unfair for me to ask you if you object to them if you haven't read them. Has anyone ever talked to you about them? Do you have any friends or family members who have a child that they're exchanging children under the guidelines? Do you have a working knowledge of them, perhaps?
I do not.
Okay. Well, I don't think it would be appropriate to ask you any more questions about that then. Will you agree to read them?
Yes.
Okay. Other than what you alleged, or other than what you just asked him about a concern about, and I get it, your child hasn't seen him in some time, that if I understand your concerns, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I assume maybe you just want to make sure that there's a comfort level so she doesn't, the child doesn't think that she's going with a stranger, that somebody can say, hey, this is your father, and, make sure she's got a certain comfort level. So my question is, his parents live in your immediate area, right?
They live a couple hours away, yes.
Okay. When did anyone in his family last interact with Amelia?
I would believe maybe 3 weeks ago.
Okay, and that would be his father and mother, maybe?
Yeah, his father and stepmother, yes.
Okay, so if he's with them, does that satisfy your concern about, that there's not anybody separation anxiety or uncomfortableness on her part?
Yes.
Have you talked to her about him and shown her pictures of him, those types of things? And does she understand that she has a father who's in the Marine Corps in California?
Somewhat, yes.
Okay. Do you agree that it's appropriate for you to do those things?
Yes.
Okay. I get it. She's only 3, right? So,
Yeah.
you can't have the same conversation you'd have with a 13-year-old, but you're at least trying.
Yeah.
Okay. So in other words, you're laying the groundwork for this, right? What about things like FaceTime or anything? Have you guys tried that? And then has she interacted with him in that way?
We have done calling when he is available, but he don't really have FaceTime, so it's kind of hard to FaceTime, but she has talked to him on the phone.
Okay. So you're not anticipating that this process is going to be a real long process?
No.
And you don't have any concerns about Christian outside of that? You don't think he's a threat or a danger to your child or any other child, right?
Not that I believe, no.
Okay. So he's asking for parenting time. Obviously, he's not trying to fly your daughter to California. I don't even know that if he wanted to, he could. He's living in a barracks. But when he's in town, you've heard him say Thanksgiving, Christmas, and other times. Would you agree that he should be afforded lots of time to make up for all the time he's missing because he's not living in the same community as you?
Yes.
Okay. And you'll agree to abide by giving him extra time when he's in town, right?
Yes.
Would he typically, as far as you understand, when he's visiting, probably stay with his parents?
Yes.
Okay. But even if he chooses to stay with someone else, once we've satisfied your concerns about, the child is acquainted with and comfortable with, you're not asking that forevermore he has to stay at dad's house, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. let me ask you some questions about where you work and what kind of money you make. What do you do for a living?
I'm a waitress.
Okay. And has the pandemic taken you out of work, or are you still employed, or are you being employed, or what's your situation?
We were out of work for, I believe, a month and a half. We've recently gone back, but it's still kind of slow due to COVID.
Sure.
But we are back.
What's the name of the place where you work?
Angler's Restaurant in Monticello, Indiana.
Okay. And are they open breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
For dinner only.
Okay. And so how long have you been employed there?
Over a year.
And so prior to the pandemic, what did a typical week look for you? How many hours were you working?
I'd say about 30 hours a week.
Okay.
About 15 to 20 hours a week.
So I don't know that, I think you cut out a little bit. Before the pandemic, you were working 30, now you're working 15 to 20. Is that what you said?
I worked 15 to 20 hours. It's like 30 to 40 hours every 2 weeks because that's how I get paid, but it's 15 to 20 every week.
Okay, so you're only working part-time,
Yes.
even before the pandemic.
Yes.
Is there a reason are you going to school or something?
I am going back to school, yes.
Okay, where do you attend school?
I haven't started yet. I just recently stopped going. I did go to the University of Louisville.
Like remotely, I presume?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer. I'm just trying to understand why you aren't working full-time.
My job does not accept full-time. We do part-time only because of our hours.
Are you seeking full-time employment?
Not currently because I'm about to go back to school.
Okay, but at any time prior to that, you have, you know what, I'm gonna move on. What is your rate of pay at your restaurant?
I make $5 an hour plus tips.
Okay, and so I understand, I used to be a waiter back in a former life, and I understand tips can be different from night to night. What would you say you average in a week as far as your gross income prior to taxes?
I would say probably about between 300 and 400 a week.
Okay. So if we called it 350, that would be an average week for you?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have any daycare expenses for your daughter?
No, not right now. She is not enrolled in daycare currently.
Okay. And you heard Christian's request about putting her on his health insurance with the Marine Corps. Is there any reason why that would not be a good idea, or what's your thoughts on that?
Currently she is on Medicaid.
Okay.
So I'm okay with her going on the military as long as he continues to stay in the military.
Okay.
Because I don't want those taken away from her.
So, you know, I don't know what the Marine Corps' insurance looks like, but I know Medicaid insurance looks like, and probably as long as you're able to qualify for that, that's probably a good thing to stay on,
Yeah.
would be my guess. But maybe when we establish all this, it might disqualify you. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But if it does disqualify you, you don't have a program to put her on. It would be either Medicaid or what Christian can provide. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if I understand, your desire would be to leave her where she is, but if she's not eligible to stay there, she would fold right into whatever Christian can provide.
Yes.
Okay. And you would agree that both of you should have paperwork, insurance card, or whatever in the event that she requires care while she's in either one of your care or custody?
Yes.
So you'll get him a copy of the Medicaid card?
Yes.
And does your daughter have a Social Security number?
Yes.
And have you already provided that to Christian?
No, I have not.
Will you agree to do that?
Yes.
Okay. She doesn't have a passport, does she?
No.
Okay. Do you and Christian communicate on any sort of regular basis? And if so, how do you communicate?
Not on a regular basis. No, we do not. But if we do communicate, it's through text message.
Okay. So you answered my next question. You have each other's phone numbers.
Yes.
I know that we have your email. Do you have Christian's email?
No.
So you've never had occasion. We'll make sure that you get that in case you want it. Do you
Okay.
have each other's physical address?
I do not have his, but I believe he should have mine because he's been to my house to pick up Amelia.
Okay, and so we'll make sure that we provide you with Christian's physical address. And you, I would assume, have his parents' address, his father's address,
Yes.
right, where your daughter
Yes.
sometimes stays. And is it the best of your belief that both of you had valid driver's licenses?
I do. I'm not 100% sure on him, but I know I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so there's no, in other words, if one of you has to transport the child, there's no concerns there, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you've heard that he is not asking you to change your daughter's name. Is it safe for me to assume that you would like her to keep the name that she has?
I would like her to keep it.
Okay, and so he has no objection to that.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think I've covered everything. Is there anything that you think the court needs to know or that you think Christian needs to know while we're all here in the same room?
No, I don't think so.
Your child have any allergies or anything that Christian may or may not be aware of or needs to be aware of?
She is allergic to amoxicillin,
Okay.
but that is the only known allergy she has.
Okay. So you got a copy of his petition, right?
Yes.
You had a chance to read it. Was there anything about it you didn't understand?
No, I do not believe so.
So are there any other requests that he's making that you are opposed to?
No.
Okay. Your Honor, that's all the questions I have for this witness.
Okay, I just want to clarify. Are we looking to amend the birth certificate and adding his name on as the
Yes, Your
father
Honor.
as well?
Yes.
Okay. And I need to reiterate, Ms. Rader, you understand that, you know, nobody's forcing you or coercing you to admitting today that he's the father, right?
Yes.
All right. And you understand that you have some rights there. You can go have your own DNA, as Mr. Rush said. You can go have an attorney represent you in these matters. You understand that, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Just real quick, Ms. Rader doesn't have an attorney. You understand there's two different kinds of custody. We talked about legal custody. You guys will have joint legal custody. You guys make the same decisions and work together on those big three that we talk about on the healthcare and religion and education. But
Okay.
you're going to be primary physical, right? With him
Okay.
having visitations according to the Indiana Parenting Time Guidelines with distance as a factor. Also going to allow him to have any type of communication throughout the week, whether that would be, as you had stated, some type of calls, or it could be FaceTiming or a Skype or a Zoom or whatever access you guys may have. He may not have FaceTime because he doesn't have an iPhone. I don't know, but we'll allow that as well. We do need to establish some type of child support. Looks like we're, Mr. Rush, you're imputing $350 per week of her income. Is that what you're going to do?
Christian, you have no objection to using 350 based on her testimony, do you?
No, sir.
Then, yeah, Your Honor, I think we'd be fine with that number.
Okay. Do either one of you have any children born before Amelia?
No.
No.
Do either one of you have any children born after Amelia?
No.
Do you have daycare expenses, Ms. Rader?
Not currently, no.
Okay. And okay. All right, the court's going to find that Christian Thomas Dyer is the biological father of Amelia Renee Lynn Rader. Where was she born?
She was born in Clark County.
Clark County in southern Indiana, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, so Clark County in Indiana, and she was born on May 24th, 2017, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Court's going to order that the birth certificate be amended, not for the changing of the name of the child, but adding Mr. Christian Thomas Dyer as the father of the child. The parties have agreed that the joint legal custody and that in the physical custody, mother will have primary, and then father will have visitations according to the Indiana Parenting Time Guidelines when distance is a factor. And on top of that, if both parties agree to more, right? Always want to allow that. You guys are adults. If things change and you don't have to stick stringent to that, give you guys an opportunity to agree some different things as well. We do need to talk about, at this time, any tax exemptions. I take it, Mom, you're currently going to keep any tax credits, exemptions, or exceptions for the child on this year's taxes and payable next year, but for every year after that? Mr. Rush, did you discuss alternating years?
We didn't discuss that, Your Honor, at least not during this hearing, and thank you. That's an oversight on my part, and I apologize. But yeah, we would request that so long as he's current on whatever support we establish at year end, that we should rotate the tax exemption from year to year. It's my understanding that she's claimed the exemption each year that there's been one. I don't think Mr. Dyer has been afforded that opportunity, given that we're most of the way through the year. You know, with her, he's been employed throughout the year. She's had a long period of unemployment. I would argue that probably the exemption would more benefit him this year than it would her. And in light of that, he hasn't had one yet, I would request that he get tax year 2020, but I don't know what Ms. Rader's thoughts would be. So he would have, and then she would get 2021.
Ms. Rader, do you have a preference on whether you want odd or even years? Ms. Rader, can you hear me? Ms. Rader, are you there?
I just got a text message from her.
You just said yes. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to award 2020 payable 2021 to Ms. Rader. 2021 and all oven years after that will be awarded to Mr. Dyer, as long as he's current 95% by the end of January 31st of that following year, with the new statutory requirements there. Child is going to be on Medicaid as well as, if can, to the expense of Mr. Dyer. And if there is an expense to that, if you can get that on a credit on the worksheet, Mr. Rush, as well. Mr. Rush will exchange any addresses and emails between the parties. Mr. Rush, would you be able to give a proposed order and child support worksheet, and then probably an income withholding order as well for Mr. Dyer in this matter?
I have, Your Honor, but just so we're clear, what I came up with on his income is 1638 times 12 divided by 52. I came out with $378 a week.
Okay. Ms. Rader, do you have any reason to believe that that would be wrong based on the government's website of what an E1 would make? Are you there, Ms. Rader? Okay.
Oh,
All right. Looks like we lost her. I'd have to say that's what we'll have to go by, Mr. Rush.
okay.
I'll wait any filings for you. Hold on. Looks like she's trying to come back in. Cha-cha-cha. Hold on.
What number am I using for the number of overnights, Your Honor?
Probably what, the 51? There's a minimum of 51.
That's like 0 to 51. I didn't know.
Yeah, I think that would be the minimum.
Okay.
There you are, Ms. Rader. Are you back? Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Quick question. You were leaving us. Do you have any reason to believe that the salary on the federal website would be inaccurate for Mr. Dyer as an E1? No. Looks like we lost her again.
No.
Okay. All right. She says no. Okay. All right. Any other questions, Mr. Rush?
I don't think so, Your Honor. I will submit a proposed
No.
order this afternoon and a worksheet. I'll get both of those uploaded today.
All right. I appreciate that. Any final questions, Ms. Rader? Okay, looks like we might have
No.
lost her again. All right. All right, you, everybody take care. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.